Hi everybody, I'm Stephen Anthony Bailey and welcome back to the Actors Vlog. This is episode number 10. I want to start this episode by just letting you know that this will be the final vlog in this vlog series that I've been doing. By episode 10 I've pretty much covered all the bases and given you pretty much everything that I can in order to inspire you and kind of teach you as much of how to get into the acting business as possible. Nothing beats hard work. That's what else I want to say first off. Nothing beats hard work. Steve Martin said that he started with absolutely no talent, and he is a prolific writer, comedian, stand-up comedian, and has an amazing TV and film career. He plays bluegrass music, he does it all. He's a Renaissance man. And he says he started with absolutely no talent. He started when he was a young kid at Knott's Berry Farm and Disneyland and just started honing his craft in magic. He's a magician as well. And he just started picking up as many skills as he could in order to build an act as a comedian. And in the 70s, he became the biggest comedian in the world, filling stadiums. He was one of the first to do that. We kind of see that as a normal thing now with touring comics like Kevin Hart or Dane Cook used to do that and things like that. But the point is perseverance and hard work is what gets you further in the game. Aaron Sorkin also says the decisions are made by the people who show up. So you need to show up. And that's what I think I've been preaching throughout all 10 of these episodes. I've always told you to create your own industry, and I know at times that can make it seem very bleak. Like, create my own industry. There's no industry to invite me to be a part of. Well, there is. You just have to, you need to look at your career as you're creating half of it and then the other half will come. But half of your career, if you look up anybody's career on IMDb or wherever you're looking it up, you need to understand that, one, that's not their entire career. My IMDb alone, I'm still very young in the game, my IMDb alone only covers about roughly half of what I've actually done. The other half didn't make it to IMDb, or I chose not to take credit on IMDb, or it had nothing to do with film. It doesn't list all the hours you spent in class, or all the plays you've done, or the stand-up comedy spots you did, or whatever it is that you do, the 400 vines you made, or whatever, RIP Vine. And this is how quickly the game changes too. You need to understand, Vlog 1, if you go back to Vlog 1, Vine was still a thing. Now we're on Vlog 10. Not that far along, and Vine is dead. So, it constantly changes, but that doesn't mean that you stop working. That doesn't mean that it was a waste of time. It means that was just a step in my career that we were working on, and now we're not. Now we're shifting to something else, and you're always going to be changing your exact focus. For instance, right now I'm focusing on stand-up comedy most right now. And my comedy, creating sketches, being part of sketches, that's my focus right now, because of the fact that I feel that that's where I'm best suited at this point in time in my career. That's the best choice for me to be making at this point in time in my career. The thing that I've learned and kind of had an epiphany about, I was talking to a friend of mine and I was like, what is branding? Explain what branding is to you? And he said, well, branding can be, if you're a business, it's the logo and what the company stands for. If you're McDonald's, it's the Golden Arches and it's about serving a lot of hamburgers really fast. Or if you are Apple, it's to provide, the Apple's very friendly, very elementary school icon logo, and it's very inviting, that company. Everyone can be a part of it. It's very user-friendly, all of their stuff. Where Microsoft has the 4 colors in the window kind of thing. And that's more for people who really know how to, customize their computers and stuff like that. Now I'm getting off track, but what I want you to know is well, how do you brand yourself as an actor, as a human being? Well, he looked at me and he said, well, then it's your name, what you look like on your headshot, and your story. Your story is what matters. That is your brand. Who are you? Because, and I'm going to be honest with you, every time someone would say, you're enough, or, everyone is a unique snowflake, blah, 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 I would kind of roll my eyes at that because it just seems like, yeah, but, you know, we are all special, but at the same time, I'm still being categorized as, like, mid-20s white male, you know what I mean, with boy next door, blue-collar vibe to him. So to me, like, you are enough and you are special, it was like, yeah, but not really, you know what I mean? But at the same time, yes, you are, because when I heard what he said, it struck a chord with me. You know, I had that epiphany of, oh, it's my story. Well, I know that no one has my story. My story is very, you know, specific, and it's also relatable. The more specific you get in art, or like in comedy or whatever it is, the more, or in painting, whatever art form, or just in life, the more specific you get, the more relatable you are. If you're relatable, that means you have commercial value as an actor. Be relatable, share your story. One flaw of mine that I realized once I had this epiphany, when I was told it's about your story, is that I don't share my struggle. I make it look easy. I make it look flashy and glamorous, and I think that's because I go from that old school mentality of that's just how you do it, but we live in a different time now. I'm making certain decisions, you know, I'm a very private person for the most part, even though like I do vlogs and social media and I seem to always be on camera all the time, but I'm also very private about a lot of things in my life. And you can keep that decision. That's up to you. You know, I don't want to be reality TV show star. You know, I couldn't have somebody following me around and have a producer whispering in my ear to make something more dramatic of your life. And I don't want to do that. You know, I want to separate my work from my life. Now that, in this day and age, could hurt or help. I don't know. I can't give you a definitive answer on that. But what I do know is that what I've started doing is sharing my story more. You know, where I come from, what it was like when I grew up, how I got here, you know, and I seem to be getting more of a response from people. You know, when people think you're perfect, it's boring, you know, there's no drama in it, and that's the thing that I'm learning. Oh, okay, do add a bit of drama to this whole thing, you know, because people know I'm on a journey, people know I'm not an A-lister, I'm not a celebrity, I'm not a star, but they know I'm on this acting journey in Hollywood. So, you know, if you're just saying, I booked it. Oh, by the way, on your social media, when you book something, be careful how you do that. Because even to people not in the industry, it can come off the wrong way. It can come off as you being fully yourself kind of thing. You know, you have to be careful with people because, you know, people will unfollow you and they'll, you know, they will stop being interested in your story just because they're not seeing the context of who you are as a person. You know, they're going to think that all you care about is booking, you know. So feel free to share, you know. Share your worst audition stories, which I'm going to do in a little bit. I'm going to share with you my worst audition. Share, you know, where are you training? You know, what are you trying to get done? And people will rally behind you if you say, hey, I'm not perfect, I need help with this, and I really want to do this. People would rather help you do that. Look at how many people do these crowdfunding, you know, and people want to be a part of it. But if you seem like you got it all together, and everything's perfect for you, and there's no struggle, there's no drama, people get bored of it, and they don't want to be a part of it, especially when, you know, they're not seeing you booked it, well, we don't see it for 2 years, or you might get your scenes cut, or whatever it might be. So yeah, but share the struggle, and, you know, so I guess what I'm trying to say is ride that line, you know. Don't be scared to celebrate your wins, okay? You can say I booked it, but also mix it up, you know, ride that line, share something else, tell people your story. I also think that you can overshare, and if you're posting 9 times a day saying what you're doing, that's too much. Now, it seems like I'm mostly talking about social media, and I am. That's because I think for me right now, the social media game is where a lot of my work is going, because that's how I distribute myself. That's how I give myself work, you know, my YouTube videos, my blog, this vlog, and all my other social media that I do, a lot of my creations seem to go there because I'm still also taking classes and going to do stand-up comedy, but none of that, it kind of, all that stuff is a one-time only event kind of thing, and it dissipates into the air, So you want to try to get as much equity as you can from what you're doing, People always talk about content. That's kind of what I'm talking about. Okay, moving on. So share your journey. We know that. What you focus on is going to change. And, realize that this does take a lot of perseverance to do. So here's my story. Now that we're in episode 10, you've learned a bit about my story. Here's a little bit more, I guess. So I've been going at this. My first play I ever did, I was like 4 or 5 years old. It was in a preschool pageant. And I was just like a shepherd boy. And in first grade we did Chicken Little, and I played the dog, and I wanted to play Chicken Little, but I didn't get Chicken Little. And I remember looking at that kid that played Chicken Little like, you suck, But I had fun doing it, and I didn't really come from an artistic family, so I didn't, do any like church plays or like know what a community theater was or anything like that, or go to any acting classes as a kid. I would have loved it. That's just, not the reality of what I grew up in, which is, it is what it is. And then in middle school, I was in drama class for 7th and 8th grade, but we didn't do any plays. And then in high school, that's when I got into drama club, and I was doing the play. We only did 1 play a year, and I was in drama class. So I was trying as hard as I could, and I was making little movies with my friends. And as a kid, I used to make these taped like radio plays and do voices, like Blimpy and Porge was a little cartoon that I had created, and I would make drawings for like comic strips and then record the voices and put in sound effects and things like that. And I was like making hip hop songs, and I was always trying to create art with anything that I could. I drew a lot as a kid, and would write stories. I was an artist from the get-go. I just didn't know what to do with all of it. And then, so when I got to high school, and it was like I was part of all these programs, it was great. And then when I turned 18, I graduated high school, I started going to do community theater stuff, and I immersed myself and did like 30 shows or something like that. And so I was still in Indiana at the time. I went to Indiana University, South Bend for about 2 years studying theater for a BFA. I didn't finish. It was about 2.5 years. I didn't finish. I wish I would have. I also wish I would have gone to the school that I wanted to go to, but I didn't because I was scared. It was at Columbia, Chicago. I wanted to go there and study acting and film, and I didn't go. And I wound up going to a school called Indiana University, South Bend, and I didn't have a great time. And I wound up leaving because I was getting more out of doing the community theater shows. I was wanting to do stronger roles and meet more people and do more shows back to back, where it was just going too slow. I was very impatient because I felt like I was playing catch up. Because like I said, I didn't have any of this when I was a kid, so now I'm an adult, I can make my own decisions, and I wanted to catch up for all the plays that I had missed out on. So instead of doing 2 a year at school, I was doing 7 a year at the community theater, while still taking classes, acting classes, stage makeup, and everything. I loved it. It was like my own little, I created my own theater program, essentially is what I'm saying. And that was actually something that ended up hurting me a bit. It helped me and hurt me to feel like I was playing catch up. Because one, it always messed with my head and made me make a few decisions I wish I wouldn't have, because I was always in a hurry and I was always trying to force things to move quicker, force myself to climb the ladder higher, when if I would have just remained a little bit more patient, I would have gotten that degree, which I, will probably go back someday and get just because it's a bucket list thing at this point. A lot of people say you don't need the degree. You don't. You don't need a degree to be an actor. I'm an actor. I've acted in films that have played in movie theaters across the world. So you don't need that. Like, I am the proof that you don't. But I'm also, from this side of it, saying, I wish I would have gotten it. I wish I would have taken my time and done more theater and done more classes in college and met with people and had more fun at it, because that's what I think I'm trying to say is I forced the hand so much. It's not that I haven't had fun, but I didn't have that leisurely fun that people have when they're in their college theater programs where they're just, hanging out with their friends and it's just a fun thing. For me, it was always result-oriented, and that's what I want to talk about right now. Don't try not to make things result-oriented. When you first get to LA, we already talked about what classes to take in, I think it was episode 2. That's difficult because that's a result-oriented choice. Well, I'm doing this so that I can get more auditions, not because I feel like this is what I need to do on my journey. You're forcing it. Do you know what I mean? So you have to be careful about decisions like that. But now that I've covered all my bases, I feel like I only do what I want to do as an artist. I'm actually to the point where I don't really care what my agents or managers want me to do, or what I think the industry wants me to do. I do what I want to do because I need to serve my voice as an artist, at least for a while. You hear all the time about the A-list actors saying one for the studio, one for me, one for them, one for me. I'm kind of all for me right now. And that's just right now. It could change next week, honestly. Like, everything's constantly changing in your career, and you have to realize that that's how it works. Okay, so don't make result-oriented choices. So back to my story. So I went to Chicago and stayed there for a little bit. I did some background work, some stand-up comedy. I think I did a couple drop-ins on some classes and did some student films, some short films, and I couldn't really get anything going. I was trying to get agents out there. I couldn't get agents there. I couldn't get into the Goodman or the Steppenwolf because I just didn't have enough experience, the right experience. So I went back home to Indiana. Did a few more shows at the community theater and started getting burnt out. So I ended up taking a hiatus because all my result-oriented choices made me take a hiatus at 21. I was burned out. A 21-year-old was burned out. That's crazy. So I took about a year and a half off, and it was about 2 years actually, because I think I was freshly 21. Anyway, so I was working at South Bend Tribune for a few months and looked around and realized I couldn't wear a suit to work every day. I looked at a bunch of folks that were walking around and they just looked miserable. They were trudging around, they're in their 50s, and you can tell they've been there since they were in their 20s, and they just looked miserable, and I couldn't do that. So I opened the South Bend Tribune, and I went to the classified section, and I saw this one-by-one ad in the classifieds, and it was for a ballroom dance company. And they said, we'll train. And my aunt was a ballroom dance teacher and taught me some basic steps. So I went in, I interviewed, I did my steps, and they hired me on the spot. And I did it for about 2 years, which is great because that dancing experience has served me well many times. So nothing in your journey is wasted. So another Steve Martin thing, Johnny Carson, he was on the Johnny Carson show, and Johnny Carson ended up doing an impersonation, I think, of Daffy Duck or something like that. I can't really remember. But anyway, he leans over to Steve Martin and says, "You will use everything that you ever knew." And I actually think that's very, very true. That's very astute advice from the king of late night, Johnny Carson. So anyway, so I was doing that for a while, and I started really missing acting. I was performing, you're performing as a dance instructor because you're performing with your students, and I did really well. My students were doing very well, and I was getting the hang of it, being a dancer. And but I missed acting, and so I left it, and I moved to LA at age 23, which I felt was later. So when I got to LA, I felt like I needed to catch up. It's been a theme throughout my entire life. I've always felt like I need to catch up. To who? Who am I catching up to? It's my journey. It's your journey. Who are you catching up to? What ends up happening is I go on IMDb and I study all my favorite entertainers, comedians, actors, whatever. I study that. I go on Wikipedia, Internet Broadway database, Lortel Awful Broadway database, IMDb. I study their careers and I write out every single thing that I know that they've done and see the path. I try to figure out the path. How did they get to where they made it? And by made it, I mean to where they were absolutely successful, indisputably successful. And I trace it. And I always seem to see they're ahead of me by so-and-so. But then I see, well, I've also done all this other work that they didn't do. My career isn't behind theirs. It's just different. I'm not as famous as they are, but that's okay. You need to not think about fame. Think about getting just enough money to survive, pay your bills. That's making it. If you can be an entertainer and pay your bills, you made it. Anything extra is gravy. If you're in this only for fame, that's a bad track to be on. I'm probably not the person you should be listening to. If you're in it as an artist, then yeah, listen to me because, I can tell you firsthand, I'm 29 and, I've been in LA, like I said, I got here when I was 23, I'm 29, that's 6 years, I'm coming up on my 6-year anniversary. I've had some successes. I honestly thought that I'd be further along. I remember as a kid, 10 years ago, looking on IMDb at people who had as many credits as me, and I was thinking, oh my god, that dude must be rich. You know what I mean? He must be just like super successful and on top of the world. When in reality, like I look at myself and I'm like, oh, I feel like I'm just getting started. I feel like I haven't done anything. When in reality, there's probably hundreds of people, thousands of people that would look at my career and think, oh man, I wish I could be there. I saw this guy on Facebook that I'm a friend with on Facebook, he's an acquaintance, and I had just posted something, and he ended up going on this rant. I'm 99% sure he was talking about me. He ends up going on this rant about, well, how can certain actor friends of mine that I'm friends with on Facebook, I see them post certain things, I'm like, how do they do that? How are they able to do that and not have a job or blah, 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 blah. And then a few of his other negative friends came in and chimed in and was like, yeah, they're probably trust fund babies or have everything handed to them. No. Nothing is handed to you in this business. People help you. Opportunities come your way. But you have to earn it. You have to earn every bit of it. It's not easy. And you have to manage your money. And again, I've never really showed people the struggle of what I've been living through over the past 29 years of my life. I've never really spent money on many things. I take care of everything that I do have so that I don't have to spend more money. I'm a cheap ass and all my money goes into my career. That's all I spend my money on. So you have to realize that people are going to be negative and you need to work your hardest not to let negativity get to you. And how I was telling you, I was studying these other people's careers, you can't compare yourself to other people and get negative. You can use it as inspiration, but you can't beat up on yourself. Don't beat up on yourself. It doesn't do you any good to beat up on yourself. You have to work hard and realize that, hey, yeah, you have some work ahead of you, but you also have to realize that your career is not going to be the same as that person's. Even if you had the exact same breaks, you might not be as successful because those gigs that person had weren't for you. That wasn't your trajectory. That's not the way that your career was supposed to go. Look at J.K. Simmons or Bryan Cranston. These guys were character actors for 20 some odd years. They hung in the game and then they blew up in their 50s and 60s. That's sometimes how it works. Can you imagine? You're mad when you're in year 1.5. Oh, it's just not going my way. Shut up. It takes a long time to be successful. And by successful, I mean famous and winning Oscars and stuff. That cannot be why you're doing this. If it is, get out. You're going to be miserable. If you're fine being miserable, fine, stay. I don't care. But you have to realize that you don't control your career. The only thing you can control is what you do every day when you show up. And you show up to do whatever it is that your artistic voice is telling you to do. That's what's important. So, that's pretty much my story. And now I'll tell you about the worst audition I ever had. Okay, so my worst audition, it was actually for Silicon Valley. I like that show a lot. For a while there, I was going out a lot as a tech guy for like 6 or 7 different shows, and they were always really like meaty roles, but I kind of, like, I can see why they bring me. Look, I'm wearing I put on a hoodie, all of a sudden I look like I could hack into your computer. I don't know why. But I don't look like kind of either that hipster techie look or like the really like nerdy tech. I don't really look the nerdy techie look. I just look like the kind of frat boy. I look like I would have been designing a program for the Social Network with Jesse Eisenberg, like right behind him, like, you got it, Mark, like whatever, you know what I mean? Like I would have been behind him, like, yeah, I hacked in, everything's good, whatever, you know, like I would have been that guy. But anyway, so it was for Silicon Valley. I was going in for that. And it was a very physical role where you go in the room and it's just a room, you know what I mean? And the casting director's right there. They're running the camera, and I'm looking right at the camera just like I am now. It's no different than this setup that I'm sitting in right now. And so I was on my feet, and the camera, the audition that I was auditioning to, I was supposed to use it like it was a security camera. And so you're supposed to be very physical with the camera. And so I end up like during the first take I do it, I'm very, very careful. I think it goes fine. Like I thought it was funny, I thought it was physical enough, I thought I did enough pulling faces, whatever. I might have been a little too over the top for that show's tone, but it was just, it was like a page and a half of dialogue. And so it was just like a quick guest star. So the second time, I was directed to get a little bit more over the top, and I was like, really? Okay. So anyway, I do it, and I end up like knocking the camera over. And luckily it didn't tip all the way. I caught it. It was one of those things where like my arm went like boom, and the camera starts tipping, and I'm grabbing the thing, and the casting director's like freaking out because it's going to tip on her, and so I didn't get it. And then there's a lot of casting directors, and this is actually good information for you. They see so many people, they don't want to shake your hand because they don't want to get sick. They have to work all the time, all the time, all the time. They can't get sick. So after that, I reach my hand out to shake, and then the shake turns into a fist bump because in my head I go, oh, they don't want to shake. And then she actually went to shake my hand, and it was one of these numbers, and I walked out. I haven't been called back to that office. So that's my worst audition. My best audition was for the Coen brothers. That's well, it's probably just my favorite audition. I don't know if it's my best performance audition, but that was just my favorite audition. I went in for the first audition, went well, it was just for the camera, whatever. I get the call back a few days later, and the Coen brothers are in the room. And it was for Hail Caesar, the film, Hail Caesar. And so I go in there, I perform it, and I was up against Noah Baron, who is a fantastic actor, and he got the role, and he was great in it. And, but yeah, I went in the room, and there were the Coen brothers. I mean, I've liked the Coen brothers forever, like Lady Killers, Raising Arizona, you know what I mean, like, Burn After Reading, and Fargo. And I don't need to tell you that they've made a lot of great movies. They made a lot of great movies. So, anyway, I do the bit, and I remember that they were laughing at what I was doing. And I was going pretty subtle. So I was very excited that they liked it, The mistake that I made was I didn't dress properly. I kind of went in kind of what I look like right now. But it was set in the 50s. So why didn't I dress like I was in the 50s? Idiot. Not saying that would have got me the role. I'm just saying always put your best foot forward. But anyway, so they laughed, and I remember walking out of that audition, and I'm walking back to the parking garage where my car was parked, and I was walking on air. And I remember, you tell yourself all the time, well, I don't really care if I get it. You do that as a defense mechanism so that you won't feel pain. But I honestly meant it. I was like, I don't care if I don't get this role. I just made the Coen brothers laugh. And that is such a huge thing to me. Like, I can always say that and tell this story, So, always look at your auditions as just an opportunity to perform for people. That's the win. That people are asking you, hey, can you come act for me today? I want to see if you'd be right for this thing I'm doing. Can you come perform for me? That's what they're asking you to do. I almost want to delete the word audition completely just because it makes you nervous. Audition. Audit. They want to audit me. Sounds like they're the IRS. We should just delete that. Just stop saying it. Say that, oh, they want me to go perform for them tomorrow. I'm going to go perform this piece. Just start doing that. Try it. Start saying that instead of audition and see if it makes you feel any better. See if you are calmer, happier to do it, more confident. You never know. Anyway, alright, well I think that's it. I think that's the end of the series. That is number 10. That's a wrap. That's it. I hope you got something out of this. I hope maybe you learned something. Maybe you walked away inspired, hopefully. If you have any questions, as usual, do not be scared to email me, connect with me on social media, and, share with me your journey. Let's support each other. I think that that's something that we need to do more of and not look at it as competition. So, stay busy, create your own industry, grind, hustle, create, focus. Just remember, you got to listen to yourself, I hate the term go with your gut, but just listen to yourself and go with what feels right to you. Always stay working on something. Do not wait. A waiting actor isn't an actor at all, in my opinion. So don't wait. Get up and do something. Go to an open mic, poetry reading, do a play reading with a few friends in your house, write something. I don't care. Do something. Because if you do it enough times, it's going to end up being, a career. That's what a career means. You just do it for a long time. I probably already said this in the vlog, but I'm going to say it again. My mentor, may he rest in peace, Michael Kripe, who was a Broadway actor in New York City, he said to me one time, he was like, we all start out as a spool of thread, just a little spool, and every time we go to an acting class, we wrap another string around there, and then a dance class, and a voice lesson, and then we do a play, and then we do a movie, and then, we're studying a little bit more, and we go to a rehearsal. And, the more we do it, then we end up this big, giant ball of yarn. Be a ball of yarn. That's what you want to do. You want to show up every single day and do it. Treat it as a full-time job. Time yourself. How much time are you really putting into your career? Don't count watching movies. That's extra. Don't count that. Don't count going to a play. You should be doing that anyway. But that's extra. That's entertainment. How much time are you really putting into your career? If it's a career, you should be doing it 40 hours a week. I don't care if you work a 40-hour job. I've been working jobs this whole time. Work. Stay inspired. If you feel uninspired, mix it up. Find a way to be inspired. If you do the same thing over and over again and it's not working, change it up. Don't just sit there. Nothing will change for you if you don't change. Okay? You can do this. If I can do it, you can do it. I made it from South Bend to LA, and then from LA to South America and everywhere else I've gotten to travel, being on tons of different sets, and I've had a great time. And that's why I wanted to make this vlog series, so that I could inspire you and help you get to where I am faster, so that you wouldn't feel like you were playing catch-up like I did. That's why I made this series. So get to work, grind, hustle, hustle, hustle. And, I think my next step as far as the information that I have been putting into my blog and in this vlog series is maybe writing a book. If I were to write a book, I would call it More Time Acting, which, would imply less time messing around and doing nothing. Because I see so many people doing that, and I don't know if they're doing it because they're lazy or if they're doing it out of confusion, or out of lack of inspiration, or a lack of knowing how to set the rails down so that the train can... That was a dumb analogy. But you get what I'm saying. So that's my next step, I think. But like I said, I hope you got something out of this vlog series. Thank you for watching. Refer your friends. Give me feedback. Give it the thumbs up. And let me know if you need anything. I wish you guys nothing but luck on your journey and happiness. And I hope that you share yourself with the world, because the world needs it. We need more art. That's what we need. I promise you we need more of it. Sometimes it feels like we have too much. We don't. There's a lot of stuff out there, a lot of content, but we need really strong pieces. And the cream does rise to the top. I don't care what anybody says. If sometimes it feels like it's oversaturated, I get it. But the cream does rise to the top. I'm proof of that. Not that I'm at the top, but I'm starting to rise. Sort of. I don't know. That's enough rambling by me. Thank you guys seriously so much for watching this vlog series, and I hope to see you around. Bye.